everybody, welcome back to It's So Worth It, So Make It. I'm Claudia and today I'm going to share with you a recipe for a Hungarian street food called Langos. Now this is a Hungarian fried dough or a fried bread, if you will, and it's very similar to what we have here in the southwestern United States that's called an Indian taco. And it's a very easy recipe with only 5 ingredients for the dough. And there's a lot of downtime in this recipe and it's super simple to make. So let's get started. Here's what you're going to need to make this awesome street food. All right, now that we've got everything together, let's get started on this really simple dough. So the first thing we're going to do is just put our flour into our stand mixer. Now you can make this in a bowl or on the countertop. It's just a really easy dough to put together. So if you don't have a mixer, you can do it on a countertop or even in a large bowl if you've got that. So we'll add the flour, then we'll sprinkle in our yeast. And I like to use instant yeast in my recipes because I don't have to proof it. If you don't have access to instant yeast, all you do is you take a little bit of your warm water and your sugar and your yeast, combine those things in a bowl and let it sit for about 10 minutes, then add it to your flour and your salt mixture and go to town. It's as easy as that. But I don't like to wait around if I don't have to, so I'm going to go ahead and use my instant yeast and just throw it right in. Okay, so there we've got our instant yeast, our flour. Now I'm going to throw in the sugar, the salt, and our water. Now it's better if you have warm water, so make sure that it's not too hot. If your water is too hot, you're going to kill the yeast and your dough will not rise. So I put my 2 cups of water in the microwave for about 45 seconds. I have a really strong microwave, so it doesn't take very long at all. If your microwave is a lower wattage, might take a little longer, but if it's too hot for you to touch, it's too hot. So let it cool off a little bit, throw an ice cube in there for a second, let it cool down a little bit, then add it to your mix. Here we go. All right, now that our ingredients are all in the bowl, we're going to mix this. And you're going to mix it on 3rd speed for about 3 minutes. At 3 minutes, you're going to take a look at your dough. If it looks a little bit sticky, add a little bit of flour. And I've talked about before in other videos that if it's humid in your area, there's going to be more moisture in your flour. So you may need to add more flour after the 3-minute mixing point to dry it up a little bit. If it looks too dry and the flour is not incorporated, add a tiny bit of water, and I mean like a teaspoon or 2. If you put too much water in, it's going to get harder and harder to get back to the place where you want to be, whereas your dough is nice and supple at the end. So go ahead, start this on 3rd speed for 3 minutes. At 3 minutes, check the consistency. If it's too sticky, a little bit of flour, too dry, a little bit of water. And then you're going to go ahead and let it knead for about 8 more minutes. And after 8 minutes, you should end up with a slightly sticky dough that's very nice and soft and supple. When you're done with that, put the dough into an oiled bowl and cover it. You want this to sit around for about 30 minutes and let it double in size. And I'll show you what that looks like in just a minute. Great, now the 30 minutes has passed. Voila, you have a beautiful risen dough here. And what we're going to do now is we are going to go ahead and take it out of this bowl and start portioning it out. So let's do that. We need a little bit of flour for our bench because we don't want it sticking to everything. So we'll just take it out like this. And if you've oiled your bowl well, it'll fall right out. Perfect. Couldn't get any easier than that. All right, now we don't need to knead this anymore. We are good to go on this. So the first thing we want to do is I'm going to cut this in half with my little dough scraper here and take each half, and we are going to make 4 portions out of each half. So at the end, this recipe should yield you about 8 langos that are about anywhere between 6 and 9 inches in diameter, depending on how you roll it out or how you shape it, and I'll get to that in just a second. So first we're going to cut this one in half, and then in half again, and half again. 4 pieces, just like that. Easy as pie. There's nothing difficult about this at all. The hardest part right here is just trying to get this thing even. And then you're done. Half, half, half. We have 8 Langos, and believe it or not, we're almost finished, because at this point you want to get your oil and your shortening, or just your oil or just your shortening, started on the stove. So put that over medium-high heat and let it come up to about 350 degrees, and I'll show you how to cook these in just a second, but I want to show you how to shape them first. So I'm going to put these aside and show you how to do 1 or 2 of these. Okay, so there we have our fun little thing of dough, and there are a couple ways to do this. You can take a rolling pin and just roll it out a little bit, and the key here is not to roll it too thinly, because you want it to puff up when it's frying. So, maybe about 1/4 of an inch, maybe a little thicker, and then I like to stretch it out a little bit from the center, because I want it to be a little bit thinner in the center. There we go. And you see how big it is. And you might be looking at this going, well, Claudia, that's not very big, but wait until you cook it. It's going to puff right up, and you're going to have this beautiful fried dough. And oh my gosh, when somebody says fried dough, I just come running, because I know how amazing it is, and you guys are just going to love this. All right, so there we have one, and you can leave it just like this. You don't have to do anything to it. Put it aside. Now, I'll show you another way. Here we have another little thing of our dough, and we can roll this one out, or we can just stretch it. There's another method here to do this. And I like to stretch it from the edges, because that's where it's thickest first, and then go into the center and make it a little bit thinner in the center. There you go. But don't break through. Don't make a hole. That's not necessary. If you do make a hole, oh my gosh, let me call the food police. You made a hole in your dough. No, people, come on. It's okay. It's just a hole. It's not a big deal. It'll still fry up perfectly, and you're still going to be floored by your result. Okay, so there we have another one. Now, sometimes I like to get a little decorative when I'm cooking, because I just think that's so much fun. And I thought, well, how can I make Langos prettier? How can I make it fun? I have kids, and I want them to eat things, and I have to make it pretty for them sometimes to get them to eat it. Actually, they're pretty good eaters. I probably wouldn't need to do that, but it's fun anyway. So here's something that you can do. Cookie cutters. I have cookie cutters. I have fondant cutters, because I'm a baker. And you can just take any shape that you like. I recommend smaller shapes. They show up better in the end product as opposed to larger ones. And just take these and go around the edges. Don't go all the way through. Stop just before. You'll feel it. Stop just before you're going to go through. But the idea is to leave an impression. See that? You're just going to leave a little impression. And you can alternate these and do this. You can take a different kind. I have a little flower here. And do this. Just like that. And you can go just around the edges. You can go all over. That's going to be up to you. And there you have a very pretty, impressed thing of dough. And now you're ready to fry. Now, let's go over to the stove and let me show you how to cook these. Now it's time to start frying. Bring your oil at least to 350 degrees, or you can try this little test. Take a small piece of dough and place it carefully into the oil. If it pops right back up and starts frying immediately, you are ready to go. Take the little piece out and place a large piece of your Langos dough into the pot. There we go. It'll bubble like crazy. This is where the high sides of your pot come in handy. You're less likely to have splashes from your oil if you have high sides on your pot. This frying process takes literally less than a minute, probably closer to 45 seconds. You'll see bubbles forming underneath. When you see this and it's golden on the other side, go ahead and flip it over. Another 20 seconds, and then you can go ahead and remove your langos from the oil, and you're all done. Repeat with the remaining langos, and you're gonna have dinner very soon. Great job. All right, great. Now you've got all your langos cooked up, and don't they look amazing? I told you they would poof up, and look, they're about, oh, I don't know, 1/2 inch, 3/4 of an inch thick, and you only rolled them out to maybe 1/4 inch. So yes, they poofed up quite a lot. Now, these are best eaten when they're still warm, and that's the entire point. So let's get going on putting stuff on top of this, because this is kind of like a European pizza, and these are enjoyed in a lot of different countries in Europe. Hungary, Czech Republic, Austria, there's a whole bunch of places where they enjoy this street food. Now, I remember when I had my first langos, memories of my trip to Hungary. Oh, it was amazing, but it was a huge mess, and I had to end up folding it in half just so that I could sort of contain it. But I wanted a lot of stuff on there, and I love it that way, and I'll show you how to do that. But first I want to show you how they eat it in the most simple and delicious way. So while your langos is still warm, you can either take a clove of garlic, cut it in half, and rub it all over, and that essence of the garlic is going to go down into the warm dough, and oh my God, I mean, who doesn't love garlic? Come on, people, we love garlic. Or you can take some already chopped up garlic, and my girls love it this way, and just spread it all over the place. And if you're afraid of garlic, you can always skip this step. That's, you know, just don't tell me about it. But I love it this way. It's super yummy. So we just put some garlic all over that. No problem. Super easy. The next thing is some sour cream. So now we're just take some sour cream, and we're going to spread that all over. Oh gosh, there's something about fresh bread and sour cream. It's just this amazing combination, in my opinion. Once I started eating that, wow, you should try it too, because there's something very heavenly about it. And the last thing is just to sprinkle this with cheese. Now, if you'd like your cheese melted, then by all means, you know, pop this in the toaster oven or in the oven for just a few seconds and melt the cheese on top. And you're done. It's time to enjoy. And you might be thinking, well, this doesn't look like a very heavy meal or, you know, a really heavy snack, but not really a meal. But you can have it this way, or you can have it this way, which is my favorite way to prepare langos. And I've actually added some crumbled bacon into my dough. Yes, you can do that when you are making your dough. Add some herbs, add some crumbled bacon, add some stuff in there. Make it more interesting. Make it the way that you want to eat it. This one has some crumbled bacon in there. We started out the bottom layer with some herb butter, then sour cream, then cheese. I've got some more crumbled bacon on top because, come on people, bacon, right? I mean, you can't go wrong there. And then I've got some chopped up ham, some mushrooms, and some artichokes. This is a meal. It might not look like it's enough, but it is enough. It will feed a grown man. He might eat 2 of these if he's a really big guy, but it's okay. He'll be happy when he's finished. So there's that way to eat it. And langos can also be made in a sweet version. And this one I've made with honey and powdered sugar and some fruits. Kids love this because if your kids like bread, they're gonna go bananas over something like this. So try this. There we go. And another way, and I put my little American twist on this, peanut butter and jelly, because yeah, lots of kids love peanut butter and jelly. And this, you don't have to stop with these combinations. You could come up with lots of stuff on your own. I mean, whipped cream, I mean, anything that you want, it's just going to be amazing. The point is to make the base, and I've shown you how to do that. Also, there is a recipe that calls for mashed potatoes in the dough, and that works out really well. I'll leave that recipe for you down in the comments below. So now, we've come to my favorite part of the show. It's when I get to try what I've made. And between the two of these, oh gosh, I think I'm gonna go with, I'll go with the traditional way. Let's just try this and we'll see how I did. And it's gonna be amazing and you guys are gonna love this too. So let's give it a bite. Mmm. Oh my gosh. You guys are gonna love Langos. I'm telling you, this stuff is absolutely amazing. I don't know what else I can say. It's just fantastic. And once you try it, you're going to make it over and over again and it will become a family favorite in your house. So this has been Langos, a popular Hungarian street food. One of my favorite things to make, one of my favorite things to eat, and I hope you guys will like it as well. Thanks so much for watching. Hope to see you next time. Please subscribe. Bye.